I posted my nope encounter on /x/ last week, but it seems more /k/ related than /x/, since /x/ is all fairy tales and rainbows, so I'll post it here too. Nope, Rise of the Nope. B18. Friend's uncle takes me and him fishing for first time. Rocky Mountains. About a 40-minute hike from the nearest dirt road where we parked. Start fishing at about 7 a.m. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. Dog with us seems disturbed by something a little ways down the river from us. Dog is a German Shepherd, retired police dog and trained hunting dog. Dog spends most of afternoon acting sheepish and staring at spot across the river from us with its ears back and eyes wide, about 40 meters to our 10 o'clock to be more precise. Sun starts to go behind trees. Decide to pack it in for the day. Everything is packed up and good to go, except for Dog. Dog is still staring at that same spot with a scared looks and not moving. Uncle grabs Dog by collar and tries to drag it with us. Thunk. Hear loud noise from where the dog was staring at and hear rustling in trees. Dog starts barking and snarling, trying to chase it. Dog gets loose and crosses river. Everyone drops what they are carrying and wade across river after it. Finally get to Dog and find it barking at very large rock. Notice very large indent in ground a few meters away where rock was picked up from before being dropped here. Notice broken branches leading off into the forest away from broken rock. Notice hole in bushes that has a direct line of sight to where we were fishing all day. Nope, back across the river. Uncle carrying Dog over shoulder as it continues to bark and snarl at a different spot this time. Grab rifles, rods, and cooler and march our way back to vehicles, Dog barking entire time while looking behind us. Make it home and never go fishing again. Nope 2, the nopening. I wasn't there for this one, so just going by what friend and his dad told me. Friend goes back to same spot with uncle, dad, and a couple other friends for a campout/fish/hunt. Bring large camping trailer and park it in a clearing Innawoods about halfway between road and river. Spend day fishing, drinking, shooting the shit around a campfire, nobody paying attention to Dog. Spend the night in trailer and notice that Dog isn't there. Everyone is worried that Dog went exploring but expects that he will find his way back to the smell of the campfire. Next morning Dog is still not back. Spend entire day searching for Dog, screaming and combing area with rifles, in case of bears. No luck. Light campfire for Dog but spend night inside trailer this time. Next morning rolls around. Not much sleep was had. Dog still missing. Spend afternoon searching again. Mood at campsite goes from optimistic to somber. Everyone decides to extend 2-night camping trip for a few more days in order to find Dog. Nope 2.5, Revenge of the Nope. No one goes fishing, no one is drinking, no one is having fun anymore. Night comes again. 5 people just huddled around a campfire and waiting. Hear loud crunching from trees. Everyone brings up rifle optics to see what it was. Too dark to see even with flashlights. Large rock is thrown at trailer scaring the piss out of everyone. 2 shots are fired in the direction the rock came from to scare it off. Everyone piles into trailer. No sleep is had that night. Sun rises again for another dreadful day. Spend day in trailer playing cards and killing time waiting for Dog. Nobody even mentions Dog on this day. Late afternoon comes around. Everybody tired from sleepless night. Everyone in bed by supper time. Night comes once again. Everybody is awake and ready this time. Rifles and flashlights aimed out windows. Let's doease.jpg. Uneventful night, everybody getting bored. Hear one soft clang against the door. Sounded nothing like rocks being thrown the night before. Everybody stays at their window. High-powered flashlights flick on and scan every angle around the trailer. Nothing. Morning finally comes, only eventful part of the night was soft clang against the metal door and smell of pants being filled. Dad opens door and steps out of trailer. Crunch. Steps on jawbone. Dog's jawbone. Everybody weeps, packs up and heads home. Friend and his dad have little memorial of Dog in backyard and wooden statue of him on fireplace mantle. Friend's uncle ends up selling his vacation cabin just a few kilometers away from campsite and never goes back to hunt or fish there again.
Alright, X. I have a story for you. I've never told this to anyone before, and today, in the hope of getting some answers, decided to post this on X. Be around 2 years ago. Be me, your everyday German fag. Had a group of friends from childhood. Let's call them Rich Fag, a really rich kid whose dad got into the steel business and made it big. Black Fag, a white kid who really wanted to be black, but was still fun to hang out with, and Nerdvag. The title is self-explanatory. As kids, we all had one common interest, fucking Scooby-Doo. So, when we got older, we were seriously into haunted houses. Since we lived in Germany, Berlin at that, we had plenty of abandoned World War II places, battlefield sites, and a shitload of haunted legends. We all practically grew up getting the shit scared out of us. So, after we graduated from high school, Rich Fag invites us on a trip around Europe. None of us are as rich as him, so he practically finances the whole trip. TBH, none of us wanted to take a handout, but we were all as close as family. So we said thanks and went with it. We went to Amsterdam first. We saw tons of haunted places. One particularly memorable one was our trip to Beardsley Castle. The place was a fucking joke. Remember, we grew up sneaking into abandoned World War II bases, so nothing practically scared us. After a bunch of visits to different cities, we decided to go to Prague. Czechoslovakia is pretty famous for its hauntings, but to be honest, we didn't really see anything special. In the end, Black Fag, who spoke Slovak, told us about this really haunted place, Huska Castle. Since we had nothing to do till we were set to go to Kiev, we decided why not. The place, for those of you who don't know, is surrounded by a huge ass forest, so Nerdvag suggested that we camp out there. We were all really into the prospect, so Rich Fag got us some camping supplies and we were on our way. But, it turned out that the castle was apparently blocked off by the government. Being the idiots we were, we decided to sneak in at night. After sneaking in, we thought of immediately going to the castle, but we decided to march on deeper into the forest to make sure any patrols didn't catch the smoke from the campfire. I remember that after an hour or two, we came across a big-ass gate. Literally, one of those fancy old ones that we just lying in the middle of the forest. It looked old, and it definitely wasn't iron because it would have rusted. We took a bunch of pictures and decided to move on. Now here is where it starts to get weird. As we kept moving on, we kept hearing noises. At first it was the wind rattling the bushes and the sound of the leaves. We had been doing this nearly our entire lives, so this didn't even scare us. Then, the wind starts blowing really bad, and Nerdvag suggests that we ought to set up camp. We all listen and do our best to set up camp while the wind is fucking everything over. Then, all of the sudden, it suddenly stops. Literally, all noise just stops. Still not freaked out but noticeably alert. Rich Fag pulls out his gun, don't as how he has one, and Nerdvag pulls out a book and some salt. Yeah, we had these contingency plans just in case. Black Fag, easily the most fearless of us, decides that we need to take advantage of the wind and set up camp. Forget everything and we all help him. Eventually have everything set up and we all decide to retire for the night. I had some shit-tier nightmares that night. I can't remember what they were, but holy shit, I woke up covered in sweat. Wake up, get dressed and get outside. Everyone, Excluding Blackfag looks like shit. Rich Fag pulls out his GPS and tries to find the castle. The worst possible thing happens. GPS not working. We all panic and reach for our cell phones. Dead. That's not fucking possible. We charged them before coming up here. We're all pretty alarmed. We're not scared of two spooky formy ghosts but survival in the wild. We all decide to pack up and try and retrace our steps. While doing this, we end up more lost than when we started. Panic is beginning to set in when we hear something loud behind us. All of us are on edge, so Rich Fag whips around holding his gun and shouts, "Come on out." At his command, a guy comes out of the forest, surprising us all. He's holding his hands up, but he looks majorly annoyed. He looks at us all pretty angrily and asks us, "What are you people doing here?" The way he said, "You people," was pretty weird thinking back on it. Also, to describe him, he looked weird. He looked around 6'1", had white skin and was wearing the weirdest clothes ever. He was wearing a bloody cloak. The weirdest thing was that he had a perfect face. Like the kind you see in magazines, literally perfect. Not a single acne mark or flaw. He didn't even look human. The guy looked pretty mad. Blackfag, who by the way was not just a wannabe black guy in appearance, took offense to this. Now, a little backstory here. Blackfag was a wannabe alpha. He got beat up a lot because he didn't know when to shut up. So, he started learning some martial arts or something, can't remember, and he eventually became the toughest motherfucker around. This made his attitude worse because now he could back up his threats. Blackfag goes up the guy and is nose to nose with him and calls him a bitch and asks him what the hell he's doing here. Cloaked Fag looks annoyed now. Just before a fight can start, Rich Fag puts on his ass-kissing face and gets between them. He settles the situation and asks him who he is. The guy doesn't respond but looks much less annoyed. He tells us that we really should leave. We're a bit relieved and ask him how to get out of here. At this he nearly jumps back. "You mean, you don't know how to get back?" We all tell him that we're lost. He looks completely paranoid now. We all ask him what's wrong with him. The guy's face shifts back to what it was before and he tells us that we should do our best to find our way out. We're all confused as fuck and Blackfag, who seems more pissy than usual, tells us that he doesn't like the guy. When we ask him why, he just says, "Ya no man, do something wrong with him." He starts to leave the way he came. The guy is seriously fast. Weirdest thing was, he wasn't even running, he was just gone. We chase after the guy asking for help, but he's already gone. Eventually we decide to screw it and go back to trying to get out of the stupid ass forest. As the sun goes down, we decide to set up camp again, but we're out of butane so we can't build a fire. When nighttime comes, things get weird. We're all trying to sleep, but we all keep hearing sounds and noises from the forest. They sounded weird. They sounded weird, all right. Like the sounds of a fight or something. Lots of grunting and shouting. And weird shouting, not the human kind. The wind is seriously strong, but the trees don't seem to be moving much. Blackfag convinces us to go investigate. For the first time, we're a bit cautious, but we grab the gun, a torch and some other shit and head towards the noises. As we head towards the noise, we start feeling really creeped out. And trust me, We haven't felt this kind of feeling since we were 12. Nerdvag seems to be getting the worst of it. He's clutching his Quran and reciting the Durood Sharif. As we get closer, the IR seems to be ice cold, something that definitely should not be happening in June. And then, when we get to where the noises were coming from, there's nothing. Just an empty clearing. We're all relieved that the noises are gone, but then a shiver goes up our spine and we all turn around. No, seriously, we turned around like some synchronized dance moves in a Bollywood film. Just as we move, something quickly darts out of our vision. Gunfag, in his eternal wisdom, whips out his gun and fires 3 rounds. That breaks the spell and we all ask him what the fuck. He tells us that he saw something white and on all fours moved way too fast. We all say we should move back to the campsite and sleep. Even Blackfag agrees. One issue though. We couldn't find the campsite. Okay. TimeTopanic.jpg. That was not fucking possible. We made sure to walk in a straight line and keep track. Everyone is blaming each other. Something was wrong, guys. We were honest to goodness bros. We never did this before, and one time we got trapped in an abandoned World War II base. I didn't feel right. Still, I managed to bring everyone under control and we managed to find a clearing where we can at least rest. Now, we pick watches, I get first watch and so on. But, Rich Feg seemed oddly angry to part with his gun. As I took the first watch, I couldn't help but look up. There was barely any moon, but the amount that there was seemed to completely be blocked out by the forest. Another weird thing was that the trees seemed to be curving inwards. Like, they were trying to contain us or something. When my watch came to an end, I woke up Nerdvag and handed him the gun. I fell asleep pretty easily, considering the circumstances. I had more nightmares that night, but nothing compared to being woken up by Blackfag's screams. I wake up and Blackfag is ranting like a sigs. Shithsangry.gif. I ask Rich Fag, who looks pissed, what's going on? He tells me that Nerdvag never woke him for his watch. He was gone. We couldn't find Nerdvag. We did, however, find the gun, empty. We're all pretty angry, worried, creeped out. We looked for Nerdvag, but it looked like he just vanished. No footprints, nothing. We're pretty sure that he took the bullets for some reason, because the sound of a gunshot would have woken us all up. While we're calling for him, we find another stranger. This time it's a chick. And I'll be damned if it isn't the hottest girl we've ever seen. Literally flawless face, and is wearing a cloak very similar to the one we saw on that guy earlier. She seems to be pretty pissed at us for being here in general. When we explain that we're lost, his face becomes white. She doesn't reply after that and asks us, and I shit you not, has one of you gone missing? We're all alarmed by that. Blackfag, Nerdvag's best friend, is about to kick her ass. He starts screaming at her and asks her what she knows about Nerdvag. We try to calm him down, but he rushes at her, intent on kicking her ass. Then, the weirdest thing happens. The girl doesn't even react, but catches Blackfag's punch and kicks him straight in the nuts so hard we hear something snap. That should not have been possible. Blackfag us buff and fast as fuck. No person should have been able to catch his punch. It's at that moment, I think that we're not dealing with a person, after all. She looks a bit pissed, but just walks off while we tend to Blackfag. Rich Fag chases after her, but comes back without a clue to where she went. Then, while we're still looking for Nerdvarg, we find our old camp. And guess who's just sitting opposite the remains of the fire? Fucking Nerdvarg. When he stands up so we can see him, he has this weird full-face smile on his face. Like a Cheshire grin or something. First thing we feel is relief that he's fine, the second is anger. We're all pissed at him for walking off, but he apologized profusely, saying he had to use the facilities, we're pretty sure he meant toilet, and found the camp. When we ask him about the ammo in the gun, he's surprised, and for the first time, that creepy smile drops. He tells us he doesn't know what we are talking about, and we agree, after a heated conversation, to drop it. We start making plans on how to get out when Nerdvarg starts giggling. It starts as a chuckle but then becomes a full-blown laugh. We're all a bit creeped out, and Blackfag, fearless motherfucker he is, asks Nerdvarg what's wrong with him. He just says that he was in remembrance. We're a bit confused, but Nerdvarg has always been a bit weird. We don't want to leave the camp, so when night falls, we just stay here. Later that night, Richfag and Blackfag wake me. They're saying that something's wrong with Nerdvarg and we need to go out and check what's going on. I suspected it too, so after a conversation on what to do we decide to go outside and look around the camp area, but we'll keep track this time to avoid getting lost. We all head out, and make sure not to disturb Nerdvarg in his tent. As we head out, the air gets chilly again and it's literally freezing cold, like, we could see our breath cold. Then, it hits us. It's a smell. A smell that Blackfag tells us he recognizes as the son of a butcher. The smell of dead meat. We follow Blackfag and his super sniffer nose. What we find nearly kills us. It's Nerdvarg, although the body looks like it was torn apart. What even worse is that. God guys, I'm sorry, but this is difficult for me to write. He was my bro, you know. His body is infested with maggots. It looks like it's been dead for ages. His copy of the Quran is, however, placed upon a tree stump that is next to him. We did what anyone would do. We all puked. After some sobbing and shouts of, "Jesus," we run from the scene and get to a clearing. We're all hysterical. Then, Richfag looks nearly apocalyptical. I ask him what's wrong, apart from the obvious. He then says, if that was Nerdvarg, then who's back at camp? Oh shit. We all freak the fuck out. Nerdvarg was our primary spirit expert and shit. He's not around anymore. As we being to shout at each other, Blackfag, in the middle of one of his rants, just stops. Just as we're about to ask him what's wrong, he points directly ahead. It's Nerdvarg. Or rather, what looks like Nerdvarg. It's not smiling anymore. Richfag pulls out his empty gun and points it. The thing then puts on this completely inhuman smile, like ear-to-ear, face-ripping smile, and begins to make grunting noises. I didn't recognize them then, but those were the same noises we heard when we first left our camp. We're all shaking, and then, when Blackfag shouts, "Run!" we don't hesitate. As we run, we make sure to stick together. I could honestly feel the thing behind us. It was chasing us. We could barely see, and when Blackfag tripped, me and Richfag slowed down to help him up, but in the meantime, the thing was right above us. It had literally jumped 5 feet in the air, and in one motion, hit me right in the chest. I later found out that that one blow nearly crushed my rib cage, broke 4 ribs and nearly killed me. I don't know how far I was flung, but I blacked out after that. In the end, I woke up, battered and bruised in the arms of that guy we met. The only thing I remember before passing out again was the guy whispering words and chanting while all I remember was his face and a bright light. I woke up in the hospital in Prague. The officers had found my body, on the verge of death on the edge of the forest. No one else was found. We went in the forest on the 5th of July. They found me on September 18th. We only spent 3 days in the forest.
Changing names, etc. For safety. Be me, be young. Head in Innawoods for hunting. Hill country is familiar to me, no too spooky for me yet. LOL not for long. MP3. Have dad and friend I know well. Been hunting here many times. Everything normal. Start hunting bright and early. Finish pretty late. Heading back to camp for bed. Hear unusual sounds in brush. No big deal, I'm a man at 12 years. Also have Remington Field Master Pump .22. Friend at same age has break 12 gauge. Totally operator even though never visited /k/. Stop, take knee, OODA. Silent. Dead silent. No birds, bugs, nothing. Pants fill with masonry. Side note, the coyotes come through that area all the time heading north. Wait 5 minutes in DEFCON 2. Must be nothing. Tactical back-to-back whispering. Decide it was the mule/coyotes. Stealth mode back to house. All is good. GIF. Next day. Up early again, head out. We grab extra ammo in case need to operate arises. Nothing the whole day. Head back to house. No encounters or spooks. Must have been imagination. JPG. Time to let my guard down for even a second. PNG. Bed. We go to bed early because we get up so early. Dad wakes me up around 11. Wants a burger. Weird, but okay. Wake up Brick, friend. We watch TV on guard till he returns. Jimmy's inexplicably rustled. Brick's Jimmy's rustled. We were just watching The Simpsons when we both froze and looked at each other. No way that was coincidence. DEFCON 1. Now SHTF. Mute TV. Hear something outside. Why now that dad is gone? Lock and load. Hear thumps and scratches on door. Enough masonry in our collective pants to rebuild the Colosseum. 12 times. At 3x scale replica. Nope. JPG. Stupidly decide to engage whatever it was. Tactically out of house. Blacker than the blackest black guy in the deepest cave on earth. Stand in front yard wondering what do. Maybe we should get flashlights. Tactically back into house. Tactically back out. Element of surprise totally gone as Brick trips on stairs coming out door and knocks both of us flat. Flashlights go flying. Operator enough to retain firearms though. Damn you uncoordinated. Immediately stop tirade as observe eyes. Glowing. From within. DEFCON 0. BRT. Eyes disappear. Must be okay now LOL. Dad returns from Burger Bell. Maybe from Kentucky Fried Tacos. Parks truck. We're still outside in DEFCON 0. Dad approaches. Sees us with guns surrounded by brass and flashlights 10 feet away. Dad hits DEFCON 2. Takes this stuff pretty seriously because stuff's happened before. Ex-CIA operator activated. Tactically to us. Sitrep. Explain. Grab lights and reload. All's good now. Share.mp3. Go to where eyes were. Raccoon. Raccoon. Riddled with bullet holes. Dad sides exit known universe. Super embarrassed. Go to bed relieved. Next day head out again. Around 4 to 5 p.m. Jimmy's inexplicably rustled. Weird.gif. OODA activated. Dead silent Innawoods again. Something's up.jpg. I'm watching rear while Brick is spotting forward. Forgot to describe position, we're on the side of a hill/bluff spotting for my dad in a field a few hundred yards away, 200 to 300 foot drop in front of us, hill slopes down behind us, thickly wooded. As watching back see movement. Indistinguishable through thick brush. Moving like a cat stalking something. Mountain lion maybe? Tactically alert Brick. Both watching rear now. See pic related through trees. Defcon 2938. Thing looks about 15 to 18 feet long, weird orange color. Like a tiger without the stripes, and is too skinny in the body. What hard? Nope nope nope. Is stalking/crouched watching us. Have seen enough cats hunting prey to know we're being hunted. MFW realize hunting tables were turned. On me. Ermagerd blurg die. Bring Rafu around to bear. Brick is half second behind me. Thing jumps at movement and jogs away. Onoyodent.gif. Mag dump as fast as can pump. Herd smacks. Critter continues to trot undisturbed. Feels worse than LOL 9mm. Toll point 22 LR. Am assuming Brick's hashtag 7.5 shot had about the same affect. Tactically nope back to house. By that I mean we sprinted back to the house fast enough to set a new record. House is about 1 mile away. Still sprinting when house is reached. So tired. MP3. Tactically into house, full lockdown initiated. Hiding in bathtub with guns pointed at door. Tell dad when he gets back. He concludes it was either the nearby military base's escaped Delta SEAL recon top secret project, or another raccoon. He thinks it was a raccoon. MFW. Be me. Be same place. Many years from first story. No spooks since that last one with the cat thing. Paranoid regardless. Me, Brick and CP, Cannon Penis. By ourselves. First trip we convinced our parents that it was a good idea to let us go by ourselves. Have upgraded arsenal by this point. Between the three of us we have .300 Win Mag, several shotguns, a WASR 1063, AR, some .22s and several assorted handguns. First trip by ourselves, nobody break anything. Within 5 minutes of being there CP tracks mud into house. Copious amounts of mud, the color and texture of diarrhea. Spent rest of night cleaning instead of operating. Before bed, we collectively take group bathroom breaks, no working toilets in house, one person goes while two stand guard. Having had several BNE and various other encounters in the past with the coyotes, we are always armed. MFWCP trying to drop Duce while holding his scope .300 balanced off his knees. Scarred for life.png. Return to house to find door left open. Open equals nope backwards. We always close all doors when leaving DEFCON 1. Stack up on door. SWAT kick it open and tactically into house. We hear wetback running down hallway just out of sight. Pest control, I'd like to report an infestation. Tactically clear house while listening to wetback struggle with window. No, we have plenty of time, nobody's opened those windows for years. Get drinks, eat lunch, watch TV. Still hear wetback struggling with window for all he's worth. Smash tinkle dink shatter clink. Dammit.mp3. Tactically back to back bedroom. He got away. MFW I realize there's now an angry wetback running loose in the woods. MFW I realize he's probably called his cartel buddies to make us disappear. Lockdown activated. We secure the house by locking down the windows and doors. Stacked all movable furniture in front of the doors we wouldn't use. Set up Normandy tier defenses facing the front door, only one unbarricaded and one we found open. Wait. Wait some more. We started around 10 p.m, is now around 2 a.m. Bored, so bored. Hey CP. H. Was so quiet that the very act of speaking sounded like the sun just exploded, and startled CP. Nearly ended the wall. Do you think they're coming back? No, let's go to bed. Everyone sleeps with handgun under pillow and long gun within reach. I suggested we take shifts, but no. Around 4 wake up to headlights coming through barricaded windows. DEFCON 1. CP and Brick are so dead asleep no amount of artillery could wake them. Grab 1063 and tactically to window. No cars, no people, just open field. What? Walk back into bedroom. Flashback to scene from Predator as I am suddenly greeted by mysterious red dots that congregate on my chest. Tactically scream like a little girl. Untactically wake Brick and CP and watch them fall out of bed spewing bricks from every orifice. Realize I forgot that we jury-rigged our spare lasers to a tripwire. MFW realize friendly fire is turned on, and the friendlies aren't happy. Return to bed. Sleep like the dead. Wake up next morning to sunshine, happiness, and pod roommates. Long explanation why I woke them up for no good reason. Excuse not valid, please check area code and try again. Go Innawoods to track wetback. Tracks lead to cold campfire ashes and various garbage and discarded clothing. Looks like they packed up in a hurry. I wonder why. La migra esta aquí con armas de fuego, Coro. TM. At least in my dreams they were terrified by our 5-star Niscope 360 dynamic entry. Search around camp. Brick find tracks just off in the brush line. Look like bobcat tracks, but way too big. PTSD Vietnam style flashback to giant orange escaped bioweapon. Brick was suddenly covered in bricks, while CP was dealing with a severe case of rebar and concrete. Tactically nope and OODA. Back to back. Conclude that they were running from the thing, and we should be safe as it's been gone for a few hours. Continue to follow tracks like the morons that we are. They make a roundabout loop past our house. That explains the flashlight.jpg. We should have brought a wheelbarrow for all these bricks.gif. Follow tracks deeper into brush past house. Find blood. Tube. Is dried, few hours old, but it's blood. We now have a yellow brick road from the campfire to where we were at that time. It must have gotten one of the Mexicans. Tactically along trail, DEFCON 0. Trail continues on and off till it reaches a nearby river, where it's apparent they started swimming due to the loads of junk they left on the riverbank. Tactically stare at junk trying to decide what to do. CP was supposed to be watching back, but no, I'm the paranoid one who's overreacting. We don't need to watch back. Rock narrowly misses Brick's head and lands in the river. Tactically 180. All is quiet. What is this, a joke? CP. Do you think this is funny? Why weren't you? Thunk. Severed deer head lands a few feet away and slowly rolls towards us. Go to DEFCON 011 repeat, go to DEFCON or. Sir. We're already there. At this point we have enough bricks, concrete, rebar, and assorted building supplies to build a 6-lane highway from Britland to Florida. We're going for a swim, boys. Tactically into river. Swim to nearby low water crossing. 0 dark 30 style dynamic exit. Tactically back to house. Gutted headless deer carcass is hanging from tree above driveway. CP muttering Hail Marys. Brick, Zeus, Buddha, Jesus, one of you guys help me. Brick's torrent of bricks increases. Satan. You owe me one. Help already. 950 tactical Niscope blacktops clear house. All clear. Return to look at deer carcass. It's gone. Only sign it was there was the puddle of blood. On the sidewalk leading to the gravel driveway written in chalk is 1 see you. 1 want to play it. Nope, levels have reached critical mass. We're now back to back standing on an ever-rising pile of the highest density bricks on the face of the planet. Catch a glimpse of someone through the trees. Person is wearing Gandalf-style white tattered robes. Behind him is the bioweapon cat. Like my autistic MS Paint drawing with one of the trees being replaced with the sky. Sir, behind you. Dude is stock still, oblivious to bioweapon cat a few feet behind him. Brick and CP have locked on. Even with us screaming, he refuses to even twitch. Did our friendly neighborhood skinwalker make a new friend? Bioweapon cat walks around him heading for us. Nope nope nope. A quaint cat 250, grain soft 0.7.62 x 39 to the head. Whap. Head jerks, and it falls over. Brick and CP acquaint their respective rounds somewhere to its body. Bioweapon cat rolls from the force. Stands. Ergad tub levels dervnag. The remaining 29 rounds follow cat as it runs over hill. I'm sure at least 15 to 18 probably hit center mass. Unsure about Brick and CP, but I know they mag dumped. Reload. Wait, where'd that guy go? Is getting dark but decided to check for blood splatters. Tactically over to where it was. Find decent amount of blood and what appear to be chips of bone. Should we follow it? No, it's getting dark. But we should finish it off. Decide that our longevity will be increased if we return to the barricaded house. Return and clear. Nothing out of place. Stay up late jumping at every noise. Finally crash, once again with no guard posted because, there's no need to worry, we locked the door. MFW, I realize we are all going to die in our sleep because these lazy jerks don't want to keep watch. Wake up alive and well. We're all very surprised to have lived through the night. It's about 10 AM right now and the bedroom we're all crammed into was selected because we can cover all the doors via an indoor window, hallway, and through another large room. Awake and cooking breakfast. Me without pants in bedroom because I needed a pair with less bricks in it. Hear what sounds like gravel crunching on driveway. Hear Brick screaming something unintelligible from the kitchen. He doesn't have his sidearm because he doesn't care. LOL, now he's going to die because he didn't listen to me. Stop lolling when I hear the door open. Take back all the lulls when I realize I'm going to die without any pants on. Grab 1063 and prepare to die fighting. Mount bayonet and charge for Mother Russia. Nearly skewer Brick charging in the opposite direction like the cowardly pleb that he is. Battle charge to encounter two large fat rednecks in kitchen. Huh. Almost mag dumped and bayonet my cousins who decided to drop by unannounced. Almost mag dumped and bayonet them again in my anger that my battle rage had been awakened needlessly. To this day I can still remember the look on my cousins' faces when they realized that they were almost killed by a half-naked teenager. Screaming incoherently chase them out of the house. Jump in their truck and race away. They were probably going 70 to 80 on a little dirt road meant for 30, tops. Come to my senses, return to the house and lecture Brick on always carrying a firearm. That pleb takes off his tactical gear and camo and puts on blue jeans and a purple t-shirt. My brush with death made me realize I wanted to be wearing nice clothes at my funeral. I literally have no response for this. CP comes out of the bathroom in boxers with a toothbrush in hand. Did I hear yelling or something? Sounded like someone was yelling something about the glory of Russia? Poker face. Finally tired of being psychologically raped by a giant space cat, the local skinwalkers, and Brick's refusal to put his camo back on and carry a firearm, I insist we call it a day and head back home. We pack up and leave. No sign of cat or skinwalkers for many years. 1 month ago, we were there again. Saw something big and indistinct moving through the trees. It's back. Why can't it come back when we have more pairs of pants and I can convince Brick to carry a gun and wear camo?
Growing up as a kid, my dad liked to take me out camping a lot. Oftentimes it would just be the two of us jumping into his truck, driving out into some remote area in the forest, not an actual camping ground, pitching a tent, and sitting by a fire. It was a great time for us to bond, away from the chaos of normal life, just the two of us hanging out with nothing else to do. Plenty of creepy stuff happened, but looking back at it now I can see that a majority of it was all my overactive imagination of being out in the woods in the middle of nowhere. Like the time we came across an area with a bunch of downed trees, and I concocted some story in my head about a monster that roamed the forest and took them all down. There was one moment though that's always stuck out, something about it never came off as being right, and I've never been able to fully explain or understand it. We were at a new camping area, some place we'd never been before, and after pitching our tent we decided to go walk off into the woods and wander around. After maybe about an hour in, we broke through the trees and came across a clearing of grass. It was extremely odd in that all around was forest, and here was just this area of grass. In the middle of it sat a small cabin. It looked all raggedy and decrepit, like no one had been there in a very long time. All around the house besides the grass were old rusted out car parts, big huge pieces too. Which is really odd, because again you were literally surrounded by thick woods within this clearing, and it'd be extremely difficult, not to mention nonsensical, to have all this junk, especially with no visible cars. Off to the side of the house was, I guess, a canyon, not really sure what to call it. Like a gap in between the land, which had a straight drop down, but the gap wasn't that big, maybe a foot or two. Almost like someone purposely made this little gap here for some inexplicable reason. So, we walked into this area. Before we did so it was pretty quiet with the exception of the occasional birds chirping or something. Yet as soon as we walked onto the grass we both distinctly heard this woman. She was yelling, pissed as all fucking shit, but what she was yelling about I'll never know because it wasn't English. She had a typical Midwestern accent, that I remember, but whatever she was yelling was pure gibberish. Accompanied with her yelling sounded like pounding and banging of feet/fist, and also slamming of pots around. What didn't make sense about this, is you could clearly see into the cabin with the window that faced us, and yet we couldn't really make out anyone inside, or at least I couldn't. What was even stranger was the smell, or really the lack thereof. See, the woods have a certain scent to them, at least I feel they do. It's refreshing, clean, woody, sometimes strong and pungent, but always a scent. There was nothing when we entered in there, nothing at all. Like almost a vacuum had sucked it all up and it was gone. So, after this woman had started screaming at us I obviously didn't want to be there anymore. I was more scared that we were on someone's land as opposed to something paranormal or weird going on. I looked up at my dad to tell him we should probably go, and that's when he did something I'd never seen him do before. He picked me up, and just ran straight into the woods. I'd never had my dad pick me up, and I'd never seen him run, ever. Maybe he saw something, maybe he understood something I didn't, I don't know, but whatever it was scared the shit out of him. He ran for maybe a quarter of the way back to camp, set me down, and told me to just walk fast. The entire time we didn't say anything, and the entire time it seemed like he was about to do another dead sprint at any given moment. He kept looking back, expecting something, I don't know what. We got back to camp safely though, packed everything up, and immediately drove off. He's never talked to me about it, and every time I try to bring it up I just get silence. For the longest time I assumed it was just trespassing, but as I get older I find that harder to believe.
When I was 9 years old, 1999, I ran away from home. My father was a machinist and worked late nights, and my mother was my teacher. I was homeschooled and only knew these two people. My father was an abusive alcoholic and used to beat me, but never laid a hand on my mother. We lived in an underdeveloped business area in rural Alaska, miles from suburbia. It wasn't uncommon for business to start and tank within the same year, so when I left I found an abandoned building and decided to make my home there. I found a small broken window that led to the basement of a 4-story building and I broke in. There were signs that other people had come into this building before me, and me not really knowing how to talk to people had me very frightened. I explored for hours. The third and fourth floor were in bad condition. There were holes in the walls, as if someone had come in and just smashed them. Broken chairs, tables, cabinets, all sorts of things. I found a room with a push lock on the door and decided to make my camp there. This was during a period where we only had sun for about 6 hours a day, so without natural light this building was pitch dark, and beyond freezing. In what I imagine was the middle of the night when I had dozed off, I heard glass shattering and the sound of a man screaming as if he was writhing in pain. It sounded as if he was breaking everything he could get his hands on. His voice seemed to split where he was screaming and wheezing as if it were two people. This terrified me. Even though I had the door locked and was on a different floor, I still worried for my safety. I flicked my lighter on and burned some manila folders to look around the room. I found a hole in the wall that was just big enough for me to fit in, so I dove in and crawled as far back as I could go. Eventually the screaming stopped. I heard his footsteps echo in the staircase between rooms. He made it to the floor I was on, and it sounded as if he were dragging something behind him. He went into a different room and shattered some glass. He kept doing this for a while but never made a sound himself. I pissed myself in the wall, now terrified he'd punch through the wall of the next room and discover me. Eventually it was silent. For too long. I never heard him leave, and although I was tired I feared falling asleep, for if I snored he might discover me, and what would he do? After some quiet hours the doorknob to the room I was in shook. It shook a few more times, and then I heard a rattle. He took a key, placed it in the door and unlocked it. He stepped in and stayed silent for a few minutes. He left the room walking. Then he started running around in other rooms, and dragged something into the room adjacent to mine. Through the wall I could only hear a cracking sound. Then he started to chew very loudly and exclaim what he was eating was delicious. I didn't make a sound. I hadn't found any food in that building during my exploration, so he must have brought something in. "Would you like some?" he said in a hushed tone. I didn't respond. I imagined he was talking to himself. Ever get the feeling you're being watched? He laughed to himself. I just know someone is here, haha. He rattled on while chewing and making that horrible cracking sound. I'd really like a dinner guest sometime. I had a lump in my throat I could not swallow. I had to clear it so bad, but I feared what this guy would do if I did, so I stayed quiet. I was so utterly terrified and cold from all of the windows being smashed and being wet from my piss I almost cried. I'm going to give you till the count of 5. I didn't dare move. 1. I closed my eyes so tightly. 2. He couldn't have known I was in here. 3. I didn't know about God at the time, but I believe I prayed to some sort of higher being. 4. I swallowed hard and took a deep breath. 5. And he went silent. There were no noises for a long time. It may have been an hour, but I am not sure. I nodded off from pure exhaustion, and when I woke up it was still pitch black. I startled to scuffle a little bit, totally forgetting where I was, and I froze when I realized. I didn't hear anything, so I waited for another few minutes, then left the wall. I exited the small hole and walked out of the room. The upstairs area was littered with drywall, glass, cigarette butts, alcohol cans and debris. I couldn't remember where the stairwell was to leave, so I had to explore all over again. I eventually ended up in the room where the man spent the majority of his time, and that's when it all clicked. The room was covered in shit and blood. A deer carcass had been ripped apart in the room, and its intestines draped all over it. They hung through ceiling tiles and over desks like a canopy. I only realized when I smacked my face into a piece of its organs strewn across the walls. Remember, it was pitch black. I lit some more folders on fire and looked across the room. The skull had teeth marks punctured into it, and the eyes and teeth had been thrown around the room. I didn't know what to make of any of this, so I broke down crying. I left the building and continued onward towards my home. When I arrived, my mother yelled at me for being gone for 3 days. She quickly stopped when she saw I was covered in blood. When I explained the story, my father sat down with me and explained that this is why he keeps us away from other people, because this is what they do. I was terrified of people and lived with my parents and did not speak to any other people besides the two of them until I was 20 years old, 2000. And moved out when my mother died, and my father told me I was never really his son. I've lived a very strange life. I am 27 now and live on my own in Alaska. Fucking wendigos, man. And I can't grasp how your family was the only human one in the entire place. It seems odd. What's at that building now? We're the same age and have some similarities. What's at that building now? Did ever you consider going back and taking him up on his dinner invitation? That sent a shiver up my fucking spine reading that. My mother's cousin, a Native American, not her real cousin, but a neighbor she grew up with, came to our house once to fix up our bathroom, and when I told him the story, he told me it was of the Wind Walker. We didn't have internet, or even books on the subject, so when I studied up on it later, it made a lot of sense. I have spoken to many Native Americans about this very story, and they all tell me I'm lucky to be alive. Pissing myself was the best thing could do for myself, because it has a hormone in it that wards off evil spirits. One guy told me the opposite, though, saying that me pissing myself is how he was alerted to my presence. This was in northern Alaska. I'm in Anchorage now, so I have no idea. The reason I bring the story up at all is because my father died sometime a week ago while on vacation from work. He must have been dead 4 days before someone found him. I'm supposed to go back up to claim the house, but I was thinking of revisiting the building, as crazy as it sounds. If it still stands, I may kill myself on the top floor. I'm a very unhappy individual, and although I hate my father, he was my reason to live. I have only lived this long to see him die. Don't do it, man. Fuck. You wanna talk about it, or something? Fuck. Shit. It's unfair for a stranger to try to talk me out of the one thing I want most in life. I don't want to talk about the suicide, but I'll take more about the believed Wind Walker. And now that I think about it, this sounds kinda like a Start of Darkness story. That's how you become an evil spirit. Living only to see your father die, and then coming back to the place where you first met this wendigo, only to kill yourself just so you could complete the metamorphosis. But I'm no expert on Native American mythology. That's exactly what I was about to say. Op doesn't realize it yet, but he's going to end up living forever. Bring a weapon. Try to talk to it if it shows up. Oh, and offer to help cook the deer meat. Raw meat is fucking disgusting. Raw meat is fucking disgusting, pleb. What kind of weapon do you use to kill something like that? Don't kill yourself. Save that shit for when it gets worse. You still have shit you can do. Take advantage of it and live in a way that you enjoy, knowing that you need not fret over consequences, as if things ever get too bad you can always end it. Think of the possibilities.